Welcome back to the Spotlight. I'm Nick Candell, and as promised, we've got Blake DiCarlo and Brian Pilarski of the East Side Anchormen here. Guys, welcome to the Spotlight. Appreciate you taking time out of your schedules to come visit with us.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you having us.
Now, before we get started into some of the rugby talk, I just wanted to, obviously, you heard me mention Blake's name, Blake DiCarlo. DiCarlo is obviously a very big name, very synonymous with the city of Warren. The banquet hall right here in Warren, that's family owned by you, correct?
Yeah, it's been in the family for 40 years. My dad took over probably right before the, I think 97. He's been involved with the ownership of the hall. So, yeah, it's been around for a long time.
Very cool. And again, big staple here in the city. Also a member of the Lions Club as well?
Yeah, Warren Lions Club, proud member. We, do a lot of work mainly for the blind, but we branched out in other things like measles shots and what have you. But in general, it's a community service organization, and proud to be a part of it.
Very cool. So a couple Warren ties here with the new club in town. So tell us a little bit about the club. Rugby, sport that's not very big, in the Metro Detroit area or the United States, I guess, in general right now. But it looks like, these other kinds of sports like soccer is starting to get pretty big, and now rugby in the mix. Tell me a little bit about why Macomb County?
Well, roughly 2 years ago, I had a chance to move back from Texas. And as any rugby player will tell you, the first thing you do if you're moving, you look for the nearest rugby club where you're going. And I noticed that Macomb County, or the East Side in general, had zero rugby presence. There are a few pocket high school programs, but for men playing at the amateur level, there really isn't anything. So decided, why don't we just start our own club? So the first phone call I made was my best friend Brian here. I was like, hey, let's start a club. How do we do this? So we basically branched out to our own network of friends, people we played football with, and just used things like Facebook and word of mouth. And then all of a sudden it started growing to the point where, 2 years later, we now have a club. We're part of the Michigan Rugby Football Union, the league, if you will. And, it basically came, we saw a void of rugby here. And we're like, there's an opportunity for us. So let's be where we are. And that's why we're in Macomb County.
Very cool. Now tell me the turnout, year one. And I happen to know these guys. I've made the mistake of actually participating and, getting my butt kicked at practices, but, I'm having a great time. It really is. The camaraderie is unlike no other sport I've ever been a part of, and I played football, baseball, basketball, everything. And, just the few weeks that I spent with you guys, the camaraderie is just great. So I know, that's a big part of the sport in general. But tell me about, the participation, year one compared to what it is now.
Brian can certainly speak on this, and he's smiling because he knows where we started. But, gosh, our first practice, we had maybe 6 people at it.
Okay.
And, some of those guys, you have a revolving door. We've been at practices where there's been 4 people, and we're 2 of them,
Yeah.
So those were the very lean times. But, now thanks to, support with, where we play out at Fraser, we have help with them. But, now we're averaging, 15, 20 guys to practice. Cool. Assuming it's not lightning and like it's been the last month.
Yeah, the weather's been pretty rough lately. But, rugby's an all-weather sport, basically, right?
Yep, certainly.
So rain or shine, as long as there's no lightning,
Snow and
out
ice.
there.
Yep.
Snow and ice.
Okay.
And what's great, too, is we've gotten a lot of people from each city.
Okay.
Fraser, Warren, handful. Harrison Township, the Shores, both Grosse Pointe and St. Clair Shores. And it's fantastic. This entire community is coming together, essentially what a team should do.
Exactly.
And it's great.
Exactly. Now tell me a little bit about, I guess, you're a 501c, so tell me some about how that became and what exactly are you getting out of that?
Well, the club I played for in Texas, Denton Rugby, they were 501c3, as were many of the teams that we played against. And what we found is that being a tax-exempt organization, it allowed a lot of opportunity for sponsorship, where it was a mutually beneficial relationship where you have company A supporting a club, which a club has its own set of overhead. You have to pay for fields, pay for referees, there's league dues, registrations, etc. So having any money to offset it to make your dues lower was the main drive, okay? And so seeing how the benefits happen in Texas coming up here, that was a main goal of ours. Because not only does it open the door to bring in sponsorship where that company can then write it off as a tax exemption,
Right.
we can then turn and use it and do good in the community. So as well as keeping our dues very attractive and not as an obstacle for guys that, sometimes times get lean and, our disposable income isn't as available. So we try to keep it as limited as possible and as inviting. Rugby's a new sport to a lot of people, so you don't want it to be very expensive on top of being a new thing that they may or may not like. But Brian can speak more about our benefits of being 501c3 once our sponsorships have come in,
Okay.
but how we kind of turn that around and do our own good.
Yeah.
Exactly. What are you guys doing in the community?
Well, a lot of the things that we do have been focused towards our veterans. A lot of those young gentlemen and old gentlemen, sometimes we're not having the ticker tape parades that they should actually deserve.
Right.
So something that we've done, and even more specific, we've dealt with a lot of the Vietnam veterans.
Okay.
And in Detroit, we've gone down there right off of Woodward, and it's got a beautiful skyline. And what we do is we go down there and we help with yard work, snow removal, trees getting cut down, moving things. I mean, we got to remember these gentlemen are pushing their older ages, and
Right.
they're also geriatric patients. They have some chronic diseases from the war that they fought for us.
Exactly.
And it's something that I've taken pride in and actually have become very close with these gentlemen. One of the, Mike Sand, he's the president down there. He had open heart, and we were, I giving him a call. Hey, are you okay? What do you need us to do? We'll come by your house or whatever you need. And also too, it's turned into some fun activities. Something that we do is we go downtown, opening day of Tigers. Everybody knows opening day of Tigers. It's a great day, great weather every year. And now we have a full party down there celebrating our city, celebrating our teams. And everything that we do there, it's all donation based.
Very
And those
cool.
gentlemen have no income. So this club that's thriving, that has multiple members, it's all on donations. So this year we averaged around 250 people with food included, activities, DJing, and we were able to donate them large amounts of money because we don't realize they're going to have to find a new home soon because that's where our beautiful ice arena is going to be.
Yeah.
So now we have to be able to help them transplant elsewhere. But something that has been great about that, they've established a lot of our home. They've helped us out in Fraser and putting us in touch with people all over that now we're able to give back even more. We're going to do a children's camp. You had mentioned rugby. What is it? Well, if we're able to set that seed in the younger people, they're going to know what that is like clockwork, and it's something that the camaraderie and the teamwork, if we can do that with more sports, football, lacrosse, and now rugby, I mean, that just makes for characteristics in kids and young adults that can be very, very, very important.
Very cool. Now you mentioned the youth camp. When are you guys planning on getting that situated, and how could a family sign up for something like that?
Well, what we're doing is we actually have multiple people helping us. Oakland University is now involved.
Okay.
They're going to be out there with some of their rugby players. We're also going to be at Fraser, at the Fraser Parks and Rec, that area. And what we're doing is every Thursday in October, I believe it's from 6 to 7 o'clock. Times may vary.
Right.
And what it's going to be is we're going to go over basic skills and show them. And then later in the year, maybe do another one and just kind of spark. And maybe that spark turns into a flame, and that's what we're really hoping for.
Very cool. So you teach the basics young, maybe put it all together eventually somewhere down the road.
Yep.
And hopefully watch this thing grow.
Exactly, and you can find that information. It's going to be on our Facebook page, which is Eastside, 2 words, Rugby Football. And then also on the Fraser website at their Parks and Rec. They can go up and sign. And, cleats, tennis shoes, sandals, I don't mind. Come barefoot. I've had to do that a couple times. Come on out and hang out with us. We would love to have you and your kids out.
Very cool. Now, you were talking about, we got the season's coming up very shortly here. You guys travel all over the place. You play teams from Ohio and, other teams within Michigan. Tell me a little bit about the competition and, who are your opponents?
Got it. Well, The league itself through Michigan is set up on multiple divisions, okay?
Okay.
So right now we're in the league at Division 4. So that's more of an incubator league, if you will, for new clubs or teams in transition. But generally it's more on the social level, but our aspirations are Division 3. So between those areas where we're going to reside, we have a few teams in Ohio. Findlay comes about. Findlay, matter of fact, has 2 teams. Toledo has a B-side that plays in our level. And then in Michigan, we're going as far west as Grand Rapids and Battle Creek. Lansing has a new team, which is essentially the Michigan State alumni, the Capped Area Crisis. Flint, Bay City, they each have a team. And then we go as far north as Traverse City.
Wow.
And then Detroit happens to have 2 clubs of their own, Detroit RFC and the Tradesmen. And then, when we get, I would say a little rambunctious, we can play teams in Sarnia and Windsor as well.
Okay. Very cool. Now, again, rugby is a sport that people might not be familiar with. What is some of maybe the language? Obviously, the scrum is the iconic image of the sport.
Right.
What are some of the other, maybe, I don't want to say vocabulary, but some of the slang terms that you'll hear in a typical rugby match?
I would say a lot of those we probably can't say on your program right now.
Very true, very true.
For instance, we don't go by yards or feet. Everything's in meters.
Okay.
How many meters is something? It's there's the 22-meter line, or midfield, which is on any sport, but the touch line. Okay, the touch line would be out of bounds. Okay, it's a try, not a touchdown, and then that zone is now the try zone. Okay. We have calls for banger, okay?
Okay.
And banger calls are pretty much your big uglies running the ball and making a pile, okay? And then you have an assortment of different plays that you call, but, in general, I mean, the sport's from England, so a lot of it's from that discourse. So, you just kind of adapt it and get used to it. Or you don't wear cleats, you wear boots, okay? Things like that.
Okay.
Your kit bag is what you bring your equipment in. It's not a duffel bag. So little nuances like that, but in general, it's pretty easy to pick up.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting too, with that lingo, what we've had is people from all different types of sports: soccer, hockey, football. Probably half of the team has not played football, which is interesting because some people think, well, some big guys out there, that doesn't matter.
Right.
Come out with your speed, come out with your agility. I mean, I have trouble touching my toes sometimes, and we've got guys that are quick. So that's the best thing. Soccer players, fantastic people to be on our team. Yeah. So all of those, and that's, it's all a big melting pot.
Very cool.
Yep.
And again, if you're interested in, giving it a try, open practices pretty much every week, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're always open to new recruits. That's an all-year thing.
Okay, and what's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
I would say go through our Facebook page. You can look up Eastside Rugby Football Club and just send us a message, and then we can send you all the information. But we practice at 14 Mile in Garfield, right at Steffens Park, and we're there Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 o'clock. All
right, Brian, any last words? You want to get out there, reach out to the community?
I'll see you guys soon.
All right. Blake, any last words?
I would say, in general, I want to say, last ditch, thank you for having us on, Nick.
No problem. Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you to our sponsors. Another Warranty. Our main sponsor is Dragon Mead Microbrewery. Their master brewer, Spencer Channel, is our lock. So he plays with us. So we appreciate the guys at Dragon Mead. And then our other sponsors, Orleans Billiards Cafe in Mount Clemens, and then Shelly Kelly's at 14 in Groesbeck. Those are our 2 bar sponsors. And then we have a new one just came on, Repairs Unlimited out of Mount Clemens. So we thank all 4 of you. We appreciate your support.
And obviously, if you want a chance to help out in any way, maybe become a sponsor, become a player, because the more players, the better. Obviously, go to their Facebook page, and we'll also set up a link on our Facebook page as well. Best luck to everything in the future, guys. Hopefully, you guys can build this thing, and maybe be D1 one time. Not 4-3 or whatever.
Appreciate
your tier is at the moment.
All right.
We'll see those big shoulders at practice, right?
Absolutely, I'll be there.
That's what I was hoping for.
So check out their Facebook page or our Facebook page. But we have a great rest of the show coming up for you. Becca Friedman will be giving us the words very shortly here, and also a musical performance from the Birthday Bash. Stick around. More Spotlight coming up next.